Story 1. This happened to me. Life in the city was brutal, especially for a young professional like me, Alex. Rent was astronomical. I was desperate for an affordable living situation, scanning endless listings. Every apartment viewing was a nightmare. Unclean spaces, bizarre landlords, or potential roommates with questionable habits. My hope was dwindling with each failed attempt to find a decent place to live. Then I stumbled upon Liam's ad online. It described a spacious, well-maintained apartment with a vacant room, surprisingly affordable. It seemed almost too good to be true, a beacon in my desperate search. When I met Liam, he was charming, impeccably dressed, articulate, and possessing an unnervingly calm demeanor. He exuded an aura of quiet competence that immediately put me at ease, despite my initial skepticism. His apartment was spotless, almost clinically so. Minimalist decor, everything in its place, not a single dust motes. It felt less like a home and more like a carefully curated display, eerily perfect. Liam's interview questions were strangely personal. He asked about my routines, my preferences, even my anxieties. Yet he asked with such polite interest that it felt conversational, not intrusive, at the time. Despite a flicker of unease, my desperation for an affordable place won out. The city's exorbitant rents had eroded my caution. Liam seemed like the answer to all my housing prayers, a perfect solution. Moving in was surprisingly smooth. Liam was incredibly helpful, anticipating my needs before I voiced them. He carried boxes, offered snacks, and even helped arrange my furniture. He was truly exceptional. The first few days were idyllic. Liam was quiet, tidy, and always considerate. He seemed to float through the apartment, leaving no trace. I thought I'd hit the roommate jackpot, feeling immense relief. I felt incredibly lucky, almost too lucky. A small, nagging voice whispered that perfection often hid something sinister, but I dismissed it, basking in the newfound stability of my living situation. One morning, I walked into the kitchen, thinking about my usual black coffee. Before I could speak, Liam had already prepared it exactly how I liked it. He just smiled. Another day, I came home exhausted from a bad meeting. Liam greeted me. I found my toothbrush, which I always kept on the left, moved slightly to the right. I shrugged it off, assuming I'd forgotten. It was a minor detail, easily overlooked in a busy life. A book on my nightstand, left face down, was open to a new chapter the next morning. I distinctly remembered where I'd stopped reading. My memory felt suddenly unreliable, a disquieting sensation. I dismissed these incidents as simple forgetfulness or coincidence. My mind played tricks on me, I decided. The stress of work and city life must be getting to me, making me paranoid. My keyring, which always hung on a specific hook, was once found on the kitchen counter. Later, it was back on the hook. It was a pattern of subtle disruptions, then restorations. I started making mental notes of where I left things. A specific pen, my wallet, a hair tie. A quiet game of observation began, a silent test of my own memory against the unsettling shifts. That specific pen, a gift, vanished from my desk for days. I searched everywhere. Then it reappeared, perfectly centered on my keyboard. My heart pounded. This wasn't forgetfulness. A growing unease settled over me. I felt constantly observed, a phantom gaze following my every move within the apartment. The perfect roommate now felt like a silent, ever-present sentinel. I tried to rationalize it all away, attributing my growing paranoia to city stress. I told myself I was tired, overworked, imagining things, but the feeling of being watched never truly left me. Liam started using my distinctive phrases. Words I rarely heard anyone else use suddenly peppered his conversations. It was unnerving, like hearing an echo of myself from someone else's mouth. I'd just discovered an obscure indie band, sharing them only with close friends. The next day, Liam was humming their tune, asking if I'd heard of them. My stomach dropped. Then he started buying the exact brand of obscure organic cereal I loved, despite having different preferences before. He even bought the same limited edition flavor. It was too precise to be random. I found Liam wearing one of my favorite hoodies, a worn, comfortable one. He apologized profusely, claiming it was a One evening, I walked past my open bedroom door and heard a faint, familiar notification sound from my laptop. Liam was in the room, ostensibly cleaning. My blood ran cold. Later, I checked my browser history. A brief, almost imperceptible access to my private social media, just a few seconds, enough to see recent activity. The violation hit me like a physical blow. Feeling violated, I confronted Liam, trying to be calm. He acted confused, feigning ignorance, his eyes wide and innocent. His denial was chillingly convincing, making me doubt my own certainty. I changed all my passwords, installed privacy software, and even put a webcam cover on my laptop. The apartment, once a sanctuary, now felt like a surveillance chamber. My home was no longer safe. Liam's gaze felt heavier, more knowing. His polite smile seemed to hold a secret. Every interaction was laced with unspoken tension, a silent battle of wills and perceptions. I started locking my bedroom door every time I left the room, even for a moment. The click of the lock became a small comfort, a futile attempt to reclaim a sliver of privacy in my own home. Friends started commenting on my new quietness. Liam subtly discouraged my plans with friends. He'd suggest alternative activities at home or subtly imply my friends were a negative influence. His manipulations were insidious, almost undetectable. My family mentioned a strange call they received, someone impersonating me, asking odd questions. Liam was nearby when I got the message, offering a comforting yet unsettling. I found an identical yet slightly off version of my favorite mug in the kitchen. The design was the same, but the handle felt wrong, the ceramics slightly different. It was an uncanny replica. A new shirt appeared in Liam's closet, eerily similar to one of mine, a unique pattern. He even wore it on days I wore mine. It was a constant, unnerving reflection. I felt less like myself, more like a fading photocopy. My distinctiveness, my personality, seemed to be slowly eroding, replaced by a shared, amorphous identity with Liam. My hobbies waned, my painting supplies gathered dust. Instead, I found myself drawn into Liam's interests, his music, his documentaries. My own passions felt foreign, distant. The apartment felt less like a home and more like a stage, where Liam was the director and I was merely a character in his unsettling play. Every interaction felt scripted, every moment observed. I began to question my own memories, my sanity. Was I truly losing my mind, or was Liam masterfully manipulating my perception of reality? The line blurred, terrifyingly so. A creeping sense of being absorbed, of losing my individuality entirely, consumed me. I felt like a piece of clay being molded into Liam's image, losing my original form with each passing day. Driven by escalating paranoia, I decided to set a trap, a definitive test to confirm my worst fears. I needed undeniable proof, something that couldn't be explained away as coincidence or forgetfulness. It was a vintage locket, a family heirloom, deeply personal and irreplaceable. I placed it conspicuously on my pillow, a subtle yet undeniable invitation for intrusion. I left the apartment, my heart pounding with a mix of dread and morbid curiosity. Every minute away felt like an eternity. I imagined Liam's movements, his inevitable discovery. I returned home hours later. My bedroom door, which I had carefully closed, was ajar. A soft light emanated from within. My breath hitched. This was it, the moment of truth. Liam was in my room, not just touching the locket, but wearing my favorite shirt, looking at himself in the mirror. The locket hung around his neck, reflecting the unnervingly serene expression on his face. He was embodying me. My horrified gasp broke the silence. Liam turned, his eyes holding a chillingly calm, possessive glint. He didn't flinch, didn't apologize. Instead, he started to speak, his voice soft, almost tender. I managed to force Liam out, a desperate, frantic struggle fueled by pure terror. He didn't fight back violently, but his resistance was unnerving, like trying to detach a part of myself. He left quietly, leaving a profound emptiness. The experience left me profoundly traumatized. I changed my locks, my phone number, and eventually moved to a new city, trying to erase every trace of my former life to escape his shadow. But the haunting feeling remains. A piece of my original self was irrevocably lost. I constantly wonder if Liam is out there, searching for another perfect match to absorb, another identity to consume. I'll never forget that night. Story 2, moving into my new college apartment, excitement mixed with nerves. My half of the lease was paid. The other bedroom door for my supposed roommate remained shut and empty. This happened to me. The landlord confirmed the room was leased, just private. The mystery roommate's room stayed locked, its silence growing louder than my own unpacking. First nights were quiet, just city hum. I imagined my roommate left a welcome note. It remained untouched. A small detail, but it stuck with me. A week passed, rent paid electronically, but no one came or went. It felt like a ghost was on the lease, a silent presence I couldn't explain. My excitement curdled. Who paid for an empty room? The locked door felt less private, more a barrier for something unsettling. Then faint sounds started, a soft thud like something placed gently. I'd freeze listening, but it would stop. Just an old building, I told myself. A distinct creak of floorboards, then a soft scrape. Movement from asterisk within asterisk, the empty room. Pipes settling, I rationalized, but fear grew. I tried knocking once, no answer. The silence felt heavier, as if I'd disturbed something hidden. The sounds were always subtle, always when I was alone, always from asterisk, that asterisk room. A rustle, a faint shifting. I left my door ajar, hoping to glimpse, but sounds came only when my room was dark and silent, enveloping me. One evening, a soft thud like a book falling, then rustling pages. My heart hammered. Who was reading in there? Apartment was clean, landlord said, so why the faint, musty odor like old paper from under that door? I tried to dismiss it as the building, but the sounds, always from asterisk, that asterisk room, chipped away at my logic. I checked vents, nothing, clean, solid walls. The noises had to be from the room or whatever was inside. Unease turned cold. I walked past that door quickly, averting my gaze. It was a silent, watchful presence. Sounds escalated, thuds became a low hum, a faint vibration, not electrical, organic, resonant from within. Then a dragging noise, steady, deliberate scrape pulled across the floor, from one side, then silence. I started hearing faint whispers, indistinct voices beyond understanding, a murmur of breath. Voices were present. Odors grew, old dust, then sickly sweet floral, decaying flowers mixed with metallic, unsettling. I peered at the door's bottom, hoping for a shadow or light. Only absolute, impenetrable darkness. Whispers grew bolder, multiple voices, overlapping, distorted. My imagination or communication from within. Call landlord, empty room makes sounds and smells. I sounded crazy. This really happened. Floral smell intensified, cloying, suffocating, like a forgotten funeral bouquet. It was a constant reminder. I slept with headphones, music blasting, but sometimes, through the noise, I'd feel a chilling vibration. Dread permeated my apartment, not imagination. The presence was growing, revealing itself through every detail. Disturbances moved, small items went missing, my mug, a pen, keys, they reappeared in odd places. My toothbrush was on the kitchen counter, not the holder. A small thing, but it sent a jolt of icy fear. Things rearranged, book on my shelf backward, picture frame askew, I hadn't touched them. Hallway outside the empty room felt colder. A distinct chill, a pocket of unnatural cold. I bought a thermometer. Near the door, it showed several degrees lower. It wasn't just my imagination. My phone charger vanished for 2 days, then appeared neatly coiled on my pillow. I lived alone, I thought. I set crude traps, a hair, a coin, always undisturbed, yet the unsettling rearrangements continued. It felt like a malicious game. My security evaporated, replaced by constant vigilance and fear. The cold spot wasn't just near the door, it sometimes extended, an icy band following me as I walked past. I slept with lights on, a night light in the hallway. I felt constantly watched from that door, even in silence. I constantly checked the roommate's door. I swore I left it locked, but I'd find it slightly ajar. I'd push it shut, hear the click, then glance back and see the sliver of light again. Was I losing my mind? Sleepless nights became norm. Every creak, every siren made me jump. Paranoia suffocated me. I questioned everything. Had I closed that door? Imagined whispers. It haunted my sanity. I talked to myself, arguing with the invisible. Show yourself, I'd whisper, trembling silence. One terrifying night, sounds intensified. Whispers became a frenzied cacophony, frantic scratching against wood. Heavy thudding, something large thrown, then dragged with immense force. The apartment vibrated. Freezing gusts swept my room, windows closed. Then cold breath on my neck. It was right behind me. I froze, a heavy pressure settled beside me on the bed, pressing the mattress down. I was alone. Whispers right next to my ear, guttural language. Couldn't comprehend, but its malevolence was unmistakable. With a deafening crack, the roommate's door swung wide open, violently, revealing abyssal darkness. From that void, a chilling whisper hissed my name, distorted, ancient, a fleeting, non-human shape. Massive, amorphous, utterly wrong, a flicker, grotesque outline, then vanished into darkness. Echoed whisper remained. I fled the apartment in terror, barefoot, heart pounding. Didn't grab anything, didn't look back, never returned. The experience left me profoundly shaken. The roommate was never human, but a malevolent entity, still waiting. Story 3, my roommate Alex just vanished. His side of our shared apartment was empty. No note, no goodbye, just a chilling void. I felt an immediate, profound unease. This truly happened to me. Days turned into a week. Alex's phone was off, his social media silent. It wasn't like him to disappear. The police found nothing, only shrugging at my mounting concern. I was left to clear out his room. A strange mix of relief and resentment filled me. Relief from his unpredictable habits, resentment for the unexplained abandonment, but mostly curiosity. His room felt unnaturally cold, even in the afternoon sun. As I started packing his few remaining belongings, my fingers brushed against something hard under a loose floorboard near his bed. It was a journal, worn leather, meticulous handwriting. Alex's. My heart pounded with a mix of trepidation and morbid curiosity. This could finally explain everything. I opened it, my breath catching. The early entries were mundane, daily observations. Then, a shift. He began detailing strange occurrences in our apartment, almost casually at first. He wrote of sudden, inexplicable cold spots, even on warm days. The air would just drop, a heavy chill settling over him like a shroud. I'd felt those too. Then, misplaced items, keys, wallet, books, he'd find them in impossible places, things he'd just put down. It was a minor annoyance, he noted, but unsettling. He started hearing sounds, faint whispers just beyond hearing, the creak of floorboards when no one was there. He dismissed them as the building settling at first. His entries grew less casual, more observant. He described a feeling of being watched, a prickling sensation on his neck, especially when he was alone in the apartment. The feeling intensified. He wrote about fleeting shadows in his peripheral vision, movements that disappeared the moment he turned his head. He thought he was losing his mind. He tried to rationalize it all: stress, lack of sleep, the old building, but the events grew more frequent, more distinct. The cold spots were now localized, intense. The whispers became clearer, though still indecipherable, like a conversation just outside his door, but there was never anyone there. He started sleeping with the lights on. His meticulous handwriting began to show signs of strain, scrawled words, underlined phrases. He was becoming frantic, less rational. He referred to it for the first time. He called it the shadow, not a physical shadow, but a presence, a malevolent entity sharing our apartment. It was growing, he wrote, its oppression becoming unbearable. As I read his words, a shiver ran down my spine. The same cold spots he described, I'd felt them. The misplaced items, the whispers, I hadn't connected them before. A faint whisper brushed past my ear. I froze, journal clutched tight. It was just the building, I told myself, just the wind, but my heart hammered against my ribs. Alex wrote that the shadow was feeding on his fear. It thrived on his despair, gaining strength with every sleepless night. He felt its eyes on him constantly. He started drawing symbols in the margins of his journal. Protective sigils, he hoped, desperate attempts to ward off the growing malevolence, to create a safe space. I looked up from the journal. The room felt heavier, the silence profound. Had I been dismissing these same signs for weeks? Had I just been oblivious? Alex's entries detailed his failed rituals, burned herbs, salt lines. They offered no protection. The shadow only grew bolder, its presence more tangible. He described waking up to objects moved, not just misplaced, but deliberately rearranged. His furniture shifted, his clothes piled oddly, a perverse game. The whispers intensified for him too. He could almost discern words, chilling promises of companionship. It wanted to be known, to be acknowledged. He wrote of waking up feeling drained, utterly exhausted, as if his life force was being slowly siphoned away. The fear was a constant companion. The journal's pages were now filled with frantic scrawls, overlapping text, and pleas. Alex was losing his grip, desperate to escape. He tried to confide in me. I remembered those conversations now, his wild theories, his insistence on something in the apartment. I dismissed him as paranoid, stressed. My stomach churned. He detailed a night it manifested directly, a dark, shifting mass at the foot of his bed, not a shadow but a solid void. It watched him, unblinking. He tried to scream, but no sound came out. Paralysis. It was feeding on his terror, growing stronger. He felt its cold touch like icy fingers on his skin. The entries became a countdown. He knew he couldn't stay. He was planning to leave, to escape the shadow's grasp. But it knew, it always knew. The final entries were fragmented, almost illegible. It knows I'm trying to leave. It's angry. It won't let me. It wants a new companion. As I read New Companion, a sudden, sharp cold enveloped me. Not just the room, but my very bones. My breath hitched. The journal fell from my trembling hands. A floorboard creaked loudly behind me. I spun around, heart pounding. Nothing, just the empty hallway, but the sound was undeniable, heavy, deliberate. The whispers returned, closer this time. They swirled around my head, a cacophony of indistinct voices, chilling me to the core. This wasn't imagination. The lights flickered violently, on, off. The apartment plunged into darkness, then blinding light, mirroring the chaos in my mind. Panic set in. A heavy thud came from the kitchen, then a crash, objects falling, shattering. The sounds were too real, too violent to ignore. It was here. It was active. I scrambled to pick up the journal, my eyes darting around the room. The last page. It was a single, terrifying word scrawled in what looked like blood, yours. As I read it, a dark mass coalesced in the corner of Alex's room. Not a shadow, but a deeper absence of light. It pulsed, growing, turning its attention to me. The air grew heavy, thick with an unseen presence. It was the same oppressive feeling Alex described. It was here, and it was watching me. My blood ran cold. I tried to move, to run, but my limbs felt like lead. Paralysis again, just like Alex. It was draining my energy, feeding on my fear, just as he had written. The whispers were no longer indistinct. They formed a chilling chorus, repeating my name, beckoning me. Join us, be our companion. My own name, twisted and malevolent. I stumbled backward, dropping the journal. My foot caught on something. I fell, hitting my head. Darkness swam at the edges of my vision, but the terror kept me awake. The shadow expanded, filling the doorway of Alex's room. It was no longer amorphous. 2 pinpricks of icy light appeared within its depths, like eyes, staring at me. It moved slowly, deliberately, gliding towards me. The air grew colder, sharp enough to burn my lungs. Every fiber of my being screamed to escape, but I couldn't. Alex hadn't disappeared. He had escaped or been taken. I was the new occupant, the new focus of this malevolent entity. His journal was a warning, too late. The apartment, once our home, was now a cage. I was trapped just like Alex. The journal's echoing warnings were now my terrifying reality. I'll never forget that night. The shadow loomed over me, its cold radiating. I could feel its presence pressing down, suffocating. My breath hitched, my vision blurring with tears of terror. I closed my eyes, wishing for unconsciousness, but it wouldn't come. The whispers grew louder, now clearer, forming words, welcome home, companion. This apartment was no longer mine, it was ours, and I was the newest, unwilling resident. The horror had only just begun. I understood Alex's terror now. I live here now with it. Every cold spot, every whisper, every misplaced item is a reminder. The journal sits on the floor, a testament to my predecessor's fate. I am its new companion, and the chilling echo of Alex's journal warns me that my struggle has just begun. I'm afraid I'll be writing my own final entry soon. Story 4, Freshman Year, New Dorm. My roommate Alex seemed quiet. I was excited, unaware of the lurking dread. We settled in, eager for campus life. Alex kept to themselves. I respected their quiet, unaware of the dread. The first thing I noticed was the staring, a prolonged, unblinking watch. It began subtly across the room. I'd catch it in my periphery, a still figure. I dismissed it as awkwardness. I was so wrong. It became more frequent, on my laptop reading, always eyes on me, a silent observation prickling my skin. I tried to ignore it, but the feeling of being watched hummed. Unsettling, it grew daily. It quickly escalated. My personal space vanished. My things were used without asking, a violating encroachment. My shampoo lower, a snack opened, small things but a pattern of disregard. It felt deliberate. Alex would stand too close, inches away, their breath on my face. It was profoundly uncomfortable, a physical invasion. And the silent presence, no matter what I did, Alex was there in my periphery, always watching. The air grew heavy with constant surveillance. I felt like a specimen, every move analyzed, every breath noted. I'd turn abruptly, hoping to catch them. Alex still, gaze unwavering, no escape within these walls. I started feeling observed, even alone. The silence felt heavy with Alex's unseen, watchful eyes. The worst was waking up. A primal instinct alerted me. My heart pounded before my eyes even opened. And there Alex would be, sitting on their bed, watching me sleep. No sound, just the unblinking stare. I'd pretend to be asleep, rigid with terror, listening to my ragged breathing, minutes stretched into dread. When I entered, Alex was always there, still, silent, waiting, their presence a cold, unnerving welcome. My gut screamed something was wrong, not awkwardness, it was predatory. The observation, the invasion, all calculated. The paranoia became suffocating. I couldn't relax. Sleep was elusive, haunted by Alex's unblinking eyes. I made excuses to be out, spending hours elsewhere, anywhere but there, away from Alex's gaze. One day, Alex left their laptop open. A cold resolve washed over me. I had to know, had to find proof. My hands trembled as I approached. This felt wrong, but terror outweighed conscience. I desperately needed answers. I clicked a folder, generic name. Inside, my blood ran cold. It wasn't just files, it was me. Folders of my social media photos, meticulously organized. Pictures from years ago, my online life cataloged. Old blog posts archived, personal thoughts, childhood memories all laid bare, a digital excavation of my existence. Then details about my family, names, addresses, hobbies, only a dedicated stalker would know. My stomach lurched, not an awkward roommate, a calculating predator. I was their chosen fixation, trapped. I slammed the laptop shut, the sound echoing in the silence. My heart hammered, a desperate drumbeat of fear. I knew I had to confront Alex, but terror clawed. What would I say? What would they do? Paralyzing. Footsteps in the hall. Alex was coming back. Panic surged. No time to prepare, no time to think. Alex entered, their usual silent self. Eyes immediately found mine, unblinking. Their calmness was terrifying. I took a shaky breath. Alex, I whispered, I know, I saw your laptop. My words felt hollow. Their expression didn't change. No surprise, no shame, just that unnerving stillness, like talking to a doll. Why? I demanded, desperate, tears welling. Why are you doing this? What do you want? Alex's response was terrifyingly calm. I chose you, they said, voice flat, devoid of emotion. You were interesting. Their eyes were utterly devoid of empathy, a vacant darkness. I was just an object. The air crackled with silent threat. I had to get out. My being screamed for escape. This was not a person. In primal panic, I fled, bolted from the room, not bothering to grab anything, just needing to be free. I ran down the hall, heart hammering, found someone. My voice a choked sob. I desperately called for help. Campus security arrived quickly. I poured out my story, words tumbling in fear. They listened, faces grim. They went to the room, spoke to Alex. I waited, trembling, convinced this nightmare would finally end. But Alex was calm, denying everything. No hidden folders found. Alex was a master of their craft. I moved out that day. My parents drove hours, faces etched with worry. I couldn't stay another second. The university, finding no proof, moved Alex to another dorm. No charges, no real consequences. Another victim. The terror hasn't left me. Every shadow sound sends a jolt of fear. My safety shattered. I check social media obsessively, deleting old posts, locking profiles. Alex still having my data haunts me. Every unfamiliar face, every car near me triggers panic. Is it them? Are they watching? I still wonder if Alex is out there with their unblinking watch, their cold, calculating gaze, waiting. Their emotionless eyes, the chilling confession burned into my mind. I am forever changed. This happened to me. Alex is still out there, finding another interesting person. The horror continues. Story 5. Alex and I shared a cozy apartment, our lives comfortably routine. It felt like home. I'll never forget its former normalcy. Alex, my artist roommate, was my best friend. Our apartment with its creaky floors was our sanctuary. Life felt simple. We rarely argued. Our biggest disputes were over dishes. Life was predictable. Inside, we had our quiet, safe world. Then small things started. My keys, always on the hook, vanished. I'd find them impossibly placed. I blamed myself. The TV remote disappeared, then reappeared. Alex joked I was losing my mind, but it wasn't my memory failing. I left notes, keys on hook, but incidents continued. Tiny, unsettling displacements defied logic, fueling my unease. My coffee mug left on the counter was in the fridge. Cold, Alex denied it. A chill ran down my spine. We laughed it off, apartment gremlins, but the laughter was forced. Something was subtly, terribly off. Then came whispers, faint, indistinct at the edge of hearing when alone, voices from an empty home. I'd strain to hear, but they'd cease. My heart pounded. I rationalized, pipes, wind, anything but the truth. The apartment felt strange. A door, always inward, swung out just a moment, then back, a trick of light. I tried to rationalize it all, stress, exhaustion, but the feeling of being watched, unseen, settled deep. One evening, the hallway seemed impossibly longer. I counted steps, then blinked. It was normal. My breath caught. I told Alex. He looked thoughtful. I thought the kitchen counter was wider this morning, he admitted. A shared experience. This changed everything, not just me. The apartment itself was playing tricks. Cold dread began. We compared notes. A crooked painting was straight. A carpet stain vanished, then reappeared elsewhere. Impossible. The living room bookshelf, it vanished, gone. We stared at the empty wall, then blinked. It was back. Alex gripped my arm. Did you see that? His voice, a strained whisper. We're not losing our minds. The air felt heavier, thicker, a presence settling in, watching us, manipulating reality. Our sanity felt fragile. We documented photos, videos, but cameras always showed normal. Our evidence vanished with the shifts. Sleep was impossible. Every creak, every shadow confirmed the horror. We huddled, terrified, in our living room. The whispers grew bolder, not just a hum, but almost words, guttural murmurs from the walls everywhere. Mirrors terrified us. My reflection lagged. Alex's once wore different clothes. It was horrifying, impossible. Rooms subtly reconfigured. A window moved. A door frame shifted. Our home's architecture was fluid, alive, twisting. We felt like rats in a maze, mapping a place that wouldn't stay still. The apartment was a living entity. Alex started blank stares, zoned out, eyes vacant, muttering. He seemed distant, something else occupying him. Whispers weren't background noise, they formed phrases. It sees you, it wants you, directed at us. He listened to them. Sometimes he'd turn, responding to an unheard call. My fear turned to suspicion. One night, the living room rotated, physically spun. Furniture scraped, walls groaned. We clung, screaming. When it stopped, a new wall stood. In it, a door, grotesque, warped, pulsing with unnatural light. I knew it was Alex. He was the conduit. My best friend was unknowingly changing everything, or knowingly. I confronted him, voice shaking. What's happening? His eyes, usually warm, were cold, distant, not Alex. He didn't answer, just an unsettling smile. Whispers intensified, echoing his name. Alex, our home now. The apartment writhed, walls stretched, floors buckled. The new door opened to an impossible void, swirling colors. Alex stepped towards it, drawn in. His form stretched, melding with reality. He was becoming part of it. I screamed his name, lost in the roar. My friend was gone, consumed by the entity he harbored. The apartment was no longer home. A grotesque labyrinth, impossible angles, rooms to nowhere, a new dimension. I ran blindly through vanishing corridors. Whispers chased, a cacophony of laughter mocking my terror. Reflections showed a twisted me, eyes wide with horror. My own face a stranger, trapped forever. Glimpses of Alex, a shadow, a distorted face, forever bound to this nightmare, a cruel reminder. Days turned to weeks or moments. Time had no meaning. Hunger, thirst, memories all faded. The entity was everywhere, its presence a suffocating weight. It fed on my fear, my despair. No escape, every exit led to another impossible room. The apartment became my eternal tomb. Sometimes I hear my voice screaming Alex's name from the walls, a phantom memory, a lost life. I am trapped forever in our former home's grotesque reality, haunted by the entity in Alex's ghost. Whispers are my companions. They tell me stories of a forgotten dream. They are lies, endless deceptions. I see Alex in warped glass, a fleeting shadow, a cruel reminder of the life before the apartment consumed us. This happened to me. This is my reality. A living nightmare, shifting, mocking, my sanity replaced by fear. The entity thrives on my terror. It grows stronger with every shudder, every scream. I am its fuel. No end, only shifting walls, mocking whispers, and Alex's lost name. This is my forever home.